Each week, I get the free game from the Epic Game Store. I have over 400 titles, and until the start of the series, I played less than half. A dozen. I've stopped calling myself a gamer and started calling myself a collector. Now, I may never get through my back catalogue, but I can't stop it getting worse. Join me as each week I play through the latest giveaways, and maybe we find some gems along the way.
If looks could kill, she'd tear your heart to pieces and eat it. No reason, got venom in her lipstick, sadistic, I'm dead. If looks could kill, I'd be buried like 10 feet. Come get me, I'll dress it for a funeral. Like usual, I'm dead. If looks could kill,
This week's first game was RollerCoaster Tycoon 3. RollerCoaster Tycoon 3 was previously given away from September 24th to October 1st of 2020. I started this adventure the recommended way, with a stack of tutorials. These tutorials teach you the absolute basics of several elements of this game, such as camera control, placing rides, building queues and pathways, surveying land, planning pyrotechnics, managing staff and finances, and of course, building roller coasters. Now when I say the absolute basics, I absolutely mean it. These tutorials give you no freedom at all to achieve the required outcome. Every button that's not the exact button it's telling you to press is locked. This even goes so far as to tell you precisely how much track to build for your roller coaster. This left quite a sizable learning curve as soon as the tutorial ended. I barely understood how to hire staff, let alone optimize them with training and patrol paths, and roller coaster design itself was a disaster. More on that one later. I selected the spooky themed park to start my gameplay and was greeted with a challenge to create an additional roller coaster. I found one I liked the look of and noticed I didn't have enough funds to build this. So I instead hired staff, built shops, and built a ride I could afford. I realized all I'd managed to do at this point is burn through about 20% of my available funds, so I adopted a strategy that's worked successfully for me with other Tycoon games in the past. I left it idle. I returned after 2 hours to find that this game pauses whilst not in focus. Fantastic. I tried again, this time with only the game running, and returned after an hour to find all my staff had quit and I had lost all my available funds, leaving me in the negatives. Scrapping that idea, I gave this game one more shot. I paid attention to staff, built one of each shop, managed food and drink prices, increased ride prices, and waited for the income to come in. After finally getting bored of waiting, I decided to instead build my own roller coaster. I'm not a very creative person, but I figured this was something I could do. I built a station, built some track, built a helix up, a helix down, then returned to the station. I then went to try this coaster and found out I missed the chain lift. I tried to add the chain lift, but was completely unsuccessful. I destroyed the entire track and started again, this time trying to make sure the chain lift was enabled, and again, failed. This was due to not being able to select both the chain lift and the incline for unexplained reasons, but it was enabled for the decline.
Make that make sense.
I again scrapped the entire build and chose a different coaster. This one wouldn't let me add any turns at all unless the track was perfectly vertical. Eventually, I got this track working and was awarded with the completion of the challenges. RCT3 is the kind of game you need to be able to sit back from and just let run itself with minimal interaction, whilst also demanding enough attention to not be able to leave idle for too long. It wasn't running as smoothly as I would like, especially when trying to place pre-built coasters, and the building mechanic of the game, which is a real reason we're even here to begin with, was quite janky. Having said that, the freedom to create monstrosities is quite appealing. I would like to return at some point to get that double helix ride working. I give this game a 5 out of 10. The other game this week was Voidwrought. Voidwrought is a cosmic horror metroidvania where you play as a simulacrum, an unholy creation born from the void. Your goal is to explore the thawing ruins of the ancient Grey City, hunting down corrupted deities, and put an end to the city's endless cycle of rebirth. During my time with this game, I managed to take down 2 heralds. The first was a council, a boss with fairly predictable attack patterns that was relatively easy to defeat, once I figured out where his hitbox actually was. Defeating it rewarded me with improved ligaments, an ability that lets you grapple onto ledges and access previously unreachable areas. The second boss, the Eternal Engine, offered a much tougher challenge. This encounter revolves around using the downward attack to bounce off spears, but because the spears don't become active until they're fully extended, the timing felt far more demanding than it initially appeared. It is impossible for me to talk about Voidwrought without mentioning Hollow Knight.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
The similarities are everywhere. The basic attack feels almost identical. Movement is very similar aside from slightly heavier gravity, and even a number of enemy designs and behaviors feel heavily inspired by Team Cherry's classic. Combat can be quite unforgiving. Enemy attacks often felt like they had greater reach than my own, and unless a deflect was perfectly timed, taking damage was almost inevitable. One area where Voidwrought struggles is its level design. Much of the world fields are very flat and boxy, especially in the opening temple area, while later regions offer some visual variety. That same rigid structure remains present throughout much of what I explored. That said, there are definitely things to like here. The boss fights are engaging, and I'm interested in discovering more of the game's upgrades and abilities. During my playtime, I only unlocked the God's Eye, but considering how powerful that upgrade felt, I'm curious to see what the rest of the game's progression system has to offer. Ultimately, Voidwrought wears its inspiration on its sleeve. Drawing inspiration from great games isn't a problem, but when you're borrowing this heavily, you need to bring enough of your own identity to the table. In my opinion, Voidwrought only partially succeeds in doing this. I give Voidwrought a 6 out of 10. If you're going to copy someone's homework, make sure you switch it up a bit. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you might be interested to know that I've started streaming my playthroughs, at least for now. Check the descriptions for the Discord channel. Otherwise, please like and subscribe to be notified of next week's giveaways, or if you played either of these titles yourself, drop a comment and let me know your thoughts.